just when you thought that Brexit couldn't get any more evil, bloody Brexit, it turns out that it could actually negatively affect peace in Northern Ireland and, in fact, undermine the Good Friday Agreement. Democratic presidential meat puppet Joe Biden had tweeted for him by his staff.
Hey, do I have that around anyone? Where's my staff?
That we cannot allow the Good Friday Agreement, which brought peace to Northern Ireland, we cannot allow that to become a casualty of Brexit. You see, Joe Biden just loves peace. Well, sometimes at least. I mean, in 2011, he opposed US intervention in the Libyan civil war because of all the death and general chaos that comes with deposing a military regime that has run a country for the last 30 years. Right? Oh yeah, but then Obama came up with, an ingenious plan, which was to use drones to kill all the Libyans, which made it look like there had never been a war. And also, here's the beautiful part, it would only cost the American taxpayer a measly $2 billion.
Oh, that's the beautiful part.
Just 3 years before that, though, in 2008, Biden had slightly fewer quibbles with the deployment of 2,500 US troops to Darfur in Sudan, which, as you can see, solved all of the problems there in just 12 short years.
For their own safety, camp leaders often share videos of attacks on other camps. This one shows the recent deadly clashes in El Geneina. Dozens were killed and tens of thousands were once again displaced.
Oh, they're still dying. Well, there is Iran. While Joe Biden admits that the Irani regime has long sponsored terrorism, threatened US interests, detained American citizens, and slaughtered anti-government protesters, he believes that the only way out is through diplomacy. Hard-nosed diplomacy. No malarkey. It is imperative that we boost Iran's nuclear capabilities. Of course. Yeah. Well, okay, let's look at Iraq. I mean, right from the start, back in 1990, a plucky, vibrant young 47-year-old Joe Biden, in just his 18th year as a US senator, and without the aid of his staff, was bravely opposing and voting against the first Gulf War in Iraq. What vital interests of the United States justify sending Americans to their deaths in the sands of Saudi Arabia? Yes, that's right, Saudi Arabia. And no, on this occasion, Biden was not misspeaking. Apparently, the war between Iraq and Kuwait was partially fought in Saudi Arabia. So, partial credit. However, we can assume that he may have been misspeaking in 1998, 8 years later, when he urged for a sustained effort to, quote, dethrone Saddam Hussein, 7 years after the original conflict had ended in 1991, and 5 years before the Bush administration decided to invade Iraq again in 2003. It's almost as though Joe Biden opposes war when the Republicans are in power, yet is all for it when the Democrats are in the White House. It's almost as though he has no morals at all and is merely a career politician navigating whatever greasy poles are necessary for the realization of his narcissistic fantasies. Don't be so cynical, man. Can't a man change his mind? Yes he can. And he did. Again. In a sustained personal crusade as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, in which he described Saddam Hussein as a long-term threat and a short-term threat to our national security, and stated we have no choice but to eliminate the threat. This guy who is an extreme danger to the world, he must be dislodged from his weapons or dislodged from power. and then voting in favor of the 2002 resolution to authorize the invasion of Iraq in 2003, and then very publicly defending that vote, despite stating his belief that Iraq's military capabilities did not pose an imminent threat to US security. Despite all of this, you guessed it, by 2005 he was starting to backtrack. Bush misused his authority. We went too soon, despite him having been pushing for the intervention for the previous 5 years or so. We went without sufficient force. Wonder what Mr. Biden had in mind. Yet then in 2007 he described Bush's troop surge as a tragic mistake. There's just no pleasing this guy, is there? Too much death and destruction. Not enough death and destruction. What's going on, Joe? Oh, and by the way, just before this, in 2006, he had another great idea, which has historically always worked out really well. And that was to chop up Iraq into 3 ethnically and religiously segregated states. Well, you know, to be fair to Joe Biden's reputation, he has always had somewhat of a penchant for ethnic segregation. Just ask descendant of slave owners Kamala Harris.
You also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Then there's Israel to show how much Biden knows about international peacekeeping. You know what? I can't even be bothered to go into the details. Donald Trump in his first term in office has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for what he's achieved in the Middle East, getting Israel to sign a peace treaty with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, and it looks like Saudi Arabia and Morocco and all of those countries are going to get involved. What have career politicians like John Kerry and Biden achieved, other than creating this belief that you have to negotiate with terrorists? What the fuck do you think Joe Biden knows about Northern Ireland? Do you think he knows about North Carolina, let alone fucking Northern Ireland? He doesn't know what state he's in most of the time. Poor guy, but fuck me. Like, seriously, don't let a fucking career politician with Alzheimer's fucking morally blackmail you over Brexit. Don't, because he's a fucking moron, even more so than he was a few years ago. And he's always been a slimeball career politician. Fuck him.
I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
All right. There you go. Dance a little bit, Joe. Come on. I'll
tell you what, if I had the talent of any one of these people, I'd be elected president by acclamation. Thank you all. I carry with me, I don't have it, I gave it to my staff, but I carry with me in my pocket do I have that around anyone? Where's my staff? I gave it away anyway. I carry a schedule in my pocket.